In 1888, something extraordinary happened. Alfred Nobel, the scientist and inventor best known for creating dynamite, opened a newspaper and was stunned to discover that his own obituary had been published. However, it wasn't actually his obituary. His brother had died, but the paper mistakenly believed it was Alfred Nobel. The headline called him the Merchant of Death. Imagine reading how the world believed they would remember you. Not as a brilliant scientist, not as an innovator, but as someone whose greatest legacy was destruction. That experience prompted Alfred Nobel to reflect deeply on the legacy he wanted to leave behind. In the years that followed, he devoted much of his fortune to establishing what we now know as the Nobel Prizes, including the Nobel Peace Prize, to honor those whose work benefits humanity. Whether that newspaper article alone changed his life, or simply crystallized years of reflection, it raised the timeless question: how do I want to be remembered? Shalom and welcome to This Week in Torah. We're so glad that you're here with us today as we explore Parshas Pinchas, a Torah portion that asks exactly that same question. Not what will I own, or even what will I accomplish, but rather, what legacy will I leave behind? Remarkably, that the Torah was asking that question more than 3,000 years ago. After Pinchas acts courageously to stop a public desecration in God's name and bring an end to a devastating plague among the people of Israel, God says, "Behold, I give him my covenant of peace." At first that seems surprising. You might expect God to reward him with honor, strength, or victory. Instead, he gives him peace. The Torah reminds us while there are moments that require courage, the ultimate goal is never conflict. The goal is shalom, peace. Rabbi Joseph B. Soloveitchik, known simply as the Rav, often taught that we are not meant to be passive observers of the world. Each of us has this sacred responsibility to become God's partner in elevating and repairing the world. True greatness is not measured by how loudly we speak or how many arguments we win. It is measured by how much dignity, compassion, justice, and peace we bring into the lives of others. That message feels especially important today. We live in a world where everyone has a platform, a post, a comment, video, a headline, and disagreements can quickly become division. The Torah gently asks us a different question. Isn't it enough to ask, am I right? We should also ask, are my words bringing people closer together or pushing them further apart? In the Parsha, we meet the daughters of Tzelofchad. Their father had died without sons, and they respectfully approached Moshe with an unprecedented request. They were not seeking wealth, they were not seeking status. They simply asked that their father's name not disappear from among his people. And remarkably, God responds, the daughters of Tzelofchad are right. The Chasam Sofer explains that their request reflected a profound love for the land of Israel and a deep commitment to preserving their family's spiritual inheritance. They were thinking beyond themselves. They wanted to become part of a story that would outlive them. We come to one of the most moving moments in the entire Torah. God tells Moses that his life is nearing its end. If anyone had reason to think about himself, it was Moshe. What does he ask for? Not more years, not more honor, not one last opportunity to lead. Instead, Moshe asks God to appoint a leader for the people after he is gone. Yehoshua, Joshua is chosen. Even at the end of his life, Moses is thinking about the next generation. Soloveitchik often spoke about the covenantal community. None of us lives only for ourselves. We inherit blessings from those who came before us, and we bear the responsibility to pass those blessings on to those who come after us. The Parsha then turns to the daily offerings and the festivals. At first glance, these passages may seem repetitive, but our sages teach us a profound lesson. Great lives are rarely built through one extraordinary moment. They are built through ordinary moments lived faithfully. One kind word, one sincere prayer, one act of generosity, one encouraging conversation, one meal shared with family, one decision to forgive. These small acts often become the greatest legacy of all. Perhaps that is the enduring message of Parshas Pinchas. A meaningful life is not measured by what we accumulate, it is measured by what we pass on. 100 years from now, very few people will remember our salaries. Few will remember our job titles, but people will remember how we made them feel. They will remember our kindness, our patience, our integrity, the peace we created, the hope we inspired, and the values we lived by. Whether you're Jewish or not, Whether you've studied the Torah for decades or you're opening it for the very first time, every one of us has the ability to leave this world a little bit better than we found it. Through kindness, through responsibility, through faithfulness, through peace. And so we return to Alfred Nobel. Most of us will never have the unusual experience of reading our own obituary. But in another sense, every one of us is writing it every single day. Every conversation, every decision, every act of kindness, every moment of patience, every time we choose forgiveness over resentment, every time we choose peace over anger, line by line, choice by choice, we're writing the legacy that we will leave behind. Parshas Pinchas reminds us that a meaningful life is not defined by what we gather for ourselves. It is defined by what we leave behind for others. This week, I'd like to leave you with the same question Alfred Nobel was forced to ask himself. How do I want to be remembered? If each of us reflected on that question and then acted on it, we would change not only our own lives, but the lives of everyone around us. May each of us strive this week to leave a legacy of faith, kindness, responsibility, and peace. Thank you for joining us this week on This Week in Torah. Until next time, Shabbat Shalom.